and be in my bedroom at home. This was my only thought as I lay in bed my first morning in Manaus, Brazil. Unfortunately, when I opened my eyes, all I saw were dirty sky blue concrete walls and a fan humming noisily at my feet. And just as I got used to the fact that I was living in a squalid, tiny apartment in a slum in Brazil, I had a strange sensation. I felt like I was falling. And then I found myself with my head near the headboard, my feet still intertwined through the footboard as the bed was not long enough for my 6'2" frame, and my backside planted firmly on the ground. I had broken the bed. This began a hate-hate relationship between me and the tiny beds you find in Brazil that lasted 6 months until I finally gave in and surrendered. And for the next year and a half, I slept in a hammock. I can only break so many beds until you give up. Next was the cockroaches. I love the cockroaches. When I first got there, I found out the average cockroach is the size of my thumb. I learned something very special about cockroaches, too. They're not normal creatures. They're a lot like zombies. To kill them, you have to destroy the brain. I was once moving some wood from one place to another, and there they were. 6-inch cockroaches, scurrying around, having the time of their lives. Freaking the hell out of me. So I grabbed my machete, which incidentally is not as cool as it sounds, and split it clean in half. And wouldn't you know it, the two sides just kept on scurrying around like nothing happened. So a word to the wise. Destroy the brain.
Yeah.
You can't just cut them in half. I ate some interesting things when I was in Brazil. I had jaguar, which was just absolutely delicious. I ate monkey, which from an evolutionary standpoint was one of the most horrifying things I've ever done. I ate an animal called anta, which is an endangered species indigenous to northern Brazil. This particular time I found myself in the home of a lovely family, and they'd taken a shine to me. They invited me for dinner. So I sat down at the table and said, "What are we having?" They said, "We're going to have soup made with anta, with tatu." I'd been in the country about 3 months. I spoke this much Portuguese, and I said, What's tatu? That sounds great." He proceeded to describe a small creature with claws that burrows in the ground and has armored plates on its back. My heart and stomach sank as I realized I was about to dine on armadillo soup. They set the bowl in front of me, and as I stirred it, the back plates of the armadillo popped into the That day I accomplished a feat of gastrointestinal strength. I ate it all and kept it down. Speaking of gastrointestinal strength, whenever I travel to a foreign country, the first week or so is a little bit interesting as far as food and digestion go. To put it lightly, it wreaks havoc on my stomach in a way that I cannot even describe. So I found myself about 4 days in, walking down a lovely dirt road in a beautiful favela, which is just a fancy Portuguese word that translates in English roughly to This place is so poor they don't have a word for it in English. I got a sudden, familiar, very upsetting feeling. Sharp pain in the abdomen, and the realization that I had to find a bathroom now. I turned to the Brazilian guy I was walking with and said, "Do you know where there's a bathroom?" He looked at me, he smiled, I think he may have even done this, and said, "Absolutely." Come to find, this particular Brazilian gentleman didn't just have a general disdain for Americans, he hated them. I found myself in a small wooden home being directed towards the back of the home to a door where I was told was the bathroom. I hurriedly opened the door, stepped through, and found myself outside. Staring down a gangway on stilts that led to a small wooden shack, also on stilts, over the river. I was adventurous as the next guy, so I gingerly stepped down the wooden planks, opened the door to the shack, and there I saw it. A dirty floor with a hole in it. No seat, no bench, nothing raised, just a dirty floor with a hole in it. You weigh your options in a situation like that. How bad do I really have to go? It was pretty bad. So I started trying to maneuver, found myself in this position. And my body finally said, "Nah, you don't have to go that bad." I got used to a lot of the things in Brazil after that, to the point where my first morning back, I lay in bed with my eyes closed with just one thought.